Gotcha. Understood.
So the breakout rooms will not be recorded, but the main rooms will be recorded.
Okay. Gotcha. Understood.
So the breakout rooms are, okay. Let me see if I could stream this on Facebook. Oh, I think there's only one option. Okay. Yeah, it's just YouTube, unfortunately. I wonder why that is. Cool. And Anthony, you look new. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well. Yeah, I think this is my first time at one of these. I've been to another Mastermind event. Like, I'm trying to remember. Gosh, it was at least 6 months ago. But yeah, I saw that this one was more like digital marketing and SEO related, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I have a little bit of internship experience with, but like still trying to explore other opportunities in that field. So
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome. That means the first event, you might have been at the kickoff event. That was in August.
yeah, honestly, that sounds about right. Around like August or September would be my guess. At least 6 months ago, though, I'd say.
Okay, awesome. A pleasure to have you back. And then I see Femi, Stanley. Hey, Stanley. And then Brian. Hey, Brian. And then Kia, I believe. Kia. Awesome. So we're just waiting for a couple more folks to get on, and then I'll jump into the agenda, and then we'll introduce Mo. I'm super excited for your presentation, Mo.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
How's it going, Brian?
Going good. Been, moving and shaking and, blessed. I just really blessed, honestly, Yeah, how about you? I see. Congrats to you. Shout out to you, Meri, on the journal, all the public, publicity. I know you're not gonna do it yourself, on this call, but everyone should definitely give you a shout out, man. Can you tell us about what I'm giving you a shout out about?
Yeah, so the San Diego Business Journal did a feature on me, which was pretty cool because I thought it was about the business, but he ended up doing it like about my backstory and coming to America and all of that stuff. So it was, I think, the first time my story has been published or even really spoken about. So I'm, super excited about that, he able to capture the essence of like my struggles growing up and then, launching my business. And then CBS 8 did a shop local feature as well, which I haven't posted it yet because I don't want to annoy everyone since I'm always posting like, oh, check out this article or this is happening. But it's just been a really good experience. It parlayed from my Connect All at the Jacobs Center experience and joining that accelerator program and then getting hooked up with PR. And then I thought it was going to end in January. And then February, I was getting like the media outlets just calling me directly about not winning because I won a $5,000 grant. So every other news article was about me winning this grant. So this one was interesting because it wasn't about the grant. It was just about me and my business. So that was pretty exciting. But thank you, Brian, for the shout out. You're like one of my biggest supporters. You're always out there supporting and liking. And so I appreciate you.
Yeah, like they told us, have a coach, right? Have a partner or have like people that you support and vice versa. But you have a great story, Meri. So I'm glad it got shared. and keep up the good work, you know.
Oh, thanks, Brian. You too. So Brian owns a construction company as well. And so we'll have time to network at the end. I think today is going to be a tight one because we're going to do 2 presentations and then a breakout session. But feel free to network at that point. Let me just kick off the meeting. We are here for the Empowerment Mastermind session. So we meet every 3rd Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We talk about different topics. We usually have some kind of guest speaker, and then we jump into breakout rooms to connect. I don't want to like talk at you guys like every session, but for this session, we decided to switch it up, going back to the whole panel session of presentations. But I really do enjoy just jumping into breakout rooms and then meeting people in the group. But we also wanted to share some value and share, you know, a resource, which would be Mo. And then Chris is also going to join us to talk about social media content. And then I'll be talking to you guys about LinkedIn and how to optimize your profile. So for today's agenda, it's pretty much what I discussed, quick intros. I'll introduce Mo shortly. I'll do my quick presentation. And then during the breakout session, Chris is going to take over and talk about content building. I'll do live LinkedIn optimization. All that means is, you know, have your LinkedIn URL ready, and then I'll help you in real time of how to optimize your profile and, you know, better brand yourself. And then we'll get together and we'll talk about, you know, key takeaways from the breakout rooms. Closing remarks would be, you know, any additional updates, and then referrals. So for those that are new, the purpose of this group is, you know, to empower one another, network. You know, we have a network of 300 business professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners. Not all of them obviously show up to these sessions. The goal is really to move these meetings in person, but because of COVID, we're just, you know, virtual right now, but the goal is to actually meet in person, and so we can network. I'm the founder of the Empowerment Mastermind. So actually Meri Consulting Services hosts these events. And so that's why you're going to see Meri Consulting Services throughout. Empowerment Mastermind is not a company, it's just a monthly event that we host. Greg, Veronica, Betswan, Chris, and Nathan are, you know, part of the leadership team of the Empowerment Mastermind. So they're doing stuff on the back end. They're getting the guest speakers, etc. Usually I give them an opportunity to introduce themselves, but I just don't want to run out of time, so we could go into that later. But yeah, the goal is to empower one another, do, you know, provide referrals, get access to resources. Here's just a quick highlight of all the events we've done. So September, when we had Anthony join, we talked about diversity in the workplace. October, we had Promo Drone, the Asian Business Association. All of these CEOs came and discussed with us about different topics. Like Crow Holdings talked about how to negotiate for your salary. So CIO of a multi-billion-dollar real estate firm, he was there and just, you know, helped us out, and we got a chance to network with him. So this is a space where you might not ordinarily run into these business owners, but thanks to our network, you know, they're here and they're willing to donate some of their time to actually help empower us and make us better leaders. And so, yeah, that's just overall the events that we did. The last event was a speed networking event where we talked about goal setting and building your physical health. So we kind of moved away from talking about business and doing more tangible, because if you know, deal with your mind, I think the rest follows. So that was like a super great session with Kumar. I think the recording is on the Meri Consulting Services Facebook page and YouTube channel. So if you get a chance, I would take a peek at that. Announcements, we're trying to get sponsors for 2021. If you know of a business that, you know, is willing to sponsor some of these events, that would be really great. If you want to be a guest speaker or moderate a breakout room, contact me at meri@mericonsultingservices.com. Our next event is March 17th. You could add this link to your calendar. That way you don't have to register every single time. So let me throw that into the chat real quick. Oh, see, I always have this problem. I can't throw this into the chat. Hold on. Oh, okay, there you go. Let me throw this into the chat. And then if you guys want to follow all our social media handles, I would use Linktree for that. So everything is there of how to connect with us. All right, so let's move on to Mo. All right, Mo, I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. I think you have your own deck. So did you want me to stop sharing?
Sure, I could share mine here.
Okay.
If you want to stop sharing, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here. I appreciate this. I actually run a monthly workshop like this myself, and I'm learning a lot about the way you do this, Meri, and I'm liking the organization. It's quite cool. So thank you for that. So my name is Mo Hossein. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Data Up. My focus is helping businesses understand analytics. So that tends to be, for most of us here, it'll be something like Google Analytics. You've probably at least heard of it. If you're not familiar with it, there is a lot of things that you can do within Google Analytics, but ultimately it's a tool for us to understand our marketing that we are doing and making sure that it is the thing that we are making sure whatever we're doing is the right thing. Obviously, SEO, paid ads, there's so many other things that just kind of correlate to the analytics. So our discussion today is going to be a little bit about the SEO, and then a little bit about the analytics. Honestly, I do workshops in these for hours and hours in end because it is quite complicated in the ways these things work. So ultimately, you'll want to, depending on your business, you'll want to do some of it yourself, and you'll want to hire someone to do your SEO, for example, your analytics and things like that as your business is growing. So it's a lot of different things that you need to know, but we're going to kind of touch some of the basics in the next 15 minutes or so. So if you have some questions and we don't get a chance to discuss that today, feel free to shoot me an email. It's mo@dataup.tech. You can also obviously connect with me on LinkedIn or make a calendar invite, and we can chat through my website. So just a quick update. I won't be able to stay for the full meeting because we are dealing with a lot of emergencies in Texas at the moment, and power and whatnot is kind of an issue. So I'll be doing this, and then if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. So we'll quickly talk about what SEO is, right? So why does SEO matter? If you aren't already doing it, doing SEO, then it's something that is super helpful for you to get people to your website. So obviously, you're familiar with the old school marketing. You just send out flyers to different businesses, or maybe you call them up and they'll go to your website and say, okay, what is this business about? And then they'll potentially have a transaction with you, whether they buy your product or services. As we're moving more and more into technology, we're using our cell phones, our computers to understand different things, find different services and products. We will obviously do simple things like, okay, I need to find something, and I go to google.com and just type in whatever I need. And whatever that thing that you're typing is the result that you're going to get is what SEO is. So ultimately, let's say that you type in a laptop, right? Let's say your laptop broke and you need a new laptop. You type it in. Maybe you already know that you want a specific one, so you type that in, or you just start doing your own research. You just type something in. You'll get a lot of results based on whatever is on those websites that are coming up on that result. So ultimately, you'll see things like Amazon. Obviously, you can buy a lot of things on Amazon. If you're buying an electronic, bestbuy.com is probably one of the things that are going to come up. There's going to be so many other websites that are going to come up. Now, whatever we do in the SEO, which is search engine optimization, is going to help us, our businesses or Amazon Best Buy, what have you, get up towards the top of that list. Now, it's not easy to be on the top of that list. And in fact, if someone's telling you, oh, like we'll get you to the top of the list, you should really be careful in how they're going to do it. There are a lot of reasons why you can't be at the top of the list for SEO, for example. But we don't really have the time to discuss all that today, but we'll kind of get into a little bit of how you can understand some of those things. So the first thing is, why does it even matter for you, right? So you have to consider, how do you get your business currently, and how do you want to get your business? If it is one of those things that you're saying, okay, I have a lot of business that is already on the internet. Maybe I have a product that I'm promoting on social media like LinkedIn and Facebook, what have you. You may want to get more people coming to your website from Google, from Bing, Microsoft Bing search engine. There could be a lot of other places, right? So that's where SEO comes in. As of a few years ago, when this research was done by Bright Edge, they found that 51% of all website traffic comes from organic search. Organic search is another phrase to say SEO. Basically, it's whatever search that people are making getting to your website. Then there's a few other numbers here that you're seeing. So ultimately what happens is there's a large percentage of people that visit websites from organic searches. Think about when you do a search, what do? You may click on some paid links, but ultimately a lot of the links that you're going to click on are the organic searches, because you automatically, psychologically, would trust that more, because if someone's paying to be there, you may not trust them as much. So the idea is to get up that rank as much as possible. Now, what are the ways that you can do this? There are a few different things actually, there's a lot of different things that make the SEO work for a website. The few things that I broke down here, I kind of make it in three sections to kind of wrap our mind around it. The first one is, does the search engine have access to your website? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's like, if the search engine can't access your website, they're just going to say, okay, this website doesn't exist, essentially, for searches. There are a few things that may cause that to happen. So if you're seeing that your website doesn't show up anywhere when you're searching for your name, for example, or for your website, then that's a problem. So you should talk to either developer, do some research. How do I kind of make it available? Again, if you need resources, shoot me an email. Then the middle part is some things that you can do yourself, some things you want to hire someone for. Keyword optimization, you probably heard this a million times. Keyword optimization basically means, what are the words or phrases that people are searching for? Making those words and phrases having them on your website, so when people are searching for it, then you show up. Now, the problem is, plenty of other websites are doing the same thing. They're trying to show up for whatever the searches are. So what you're going to do is you're going to make those keywords more interesting, stronger rather, by having compelling content. So basically what that means is, let's say you create some videos, you write some articles, you produce other content that might be interesting to people that want to see that content for those specific keywords. The more you do this, like blogging, creating videos, these are very useful things for you to have on your website that matches those keywords. And it's like, okay, yes, this website has that content and stuff like that, that Google will send you the traffic. So those things, obviously, you can do yourself. Backlinking is the idea where you're on other people's website. So think about it this way: if you're in a networking room, there's 50 other people there. If we all stand up and say, yeah, we trust Meri, you should go to her for consulting for LinkedIn and whatnot, a lot of other people are going to follow Meri to go to her for any LinkedIn things that they need. So similarly, what we want to do is we want to make sure that our websites are on other people's websites, whether it's something like Yelp, let's say that we want to be listed on some website like that, or a bunch of other listings like site like Yellow Pages is still not dead, surprisingly. So you could be listed on that, for example. Anywhere you can be listed for your website to be relevant for the services or products, it makes sense for you to be listed there. Outside of that, guest posts, guest articles, things like that on other people's website that link to your website is awesome. Keep doing that if you can. If you don't have those resources, hire someone to do that for you. There's some other advanced things you could do with SEO, like schema markups and load time optimization and a few other things, but we're not going to talk about that. You should just hire someone to do this for you if it's relevant for your business. So since we have short period of time, we don't have a lot of time to get into like some of these tools and things like that, but I'll give you these two resources to take away from today. SpyFu is a website that you can go to do some basic keyword research, and you can figure out what are your competitors doing. Are they running some ads? How many keywords are they well known for or ranked for? And you can kind of compete with them in that regard. I don't think we have time to go through and look at the website and see what's going on, but basically you just go to the website, type in your website or your competitor's website, and just look through the data and see what's going on there. If you don't mind numbers too much, I would also recommend you to look into Ahrefs. It's pronounced Ahrefs, but there's an A in front of it, so it's a little confusing. So ahrefs.com/Webmaster Tools. Here is a tool where you can go and see what are the keywords that you already rank for on your website, if you do rank for something already, and what are the websites that are linking back to you. So the idea is, okay, so do I have 50 websites that are linking back to me? Do I have 2 websites? How many could I do more posts, and will they show up? This is basically how you check to make sure that either you hired someone to see, okay, yes, they're building more links and they're doing the right keyword optimization, what have you. So you can use Ahrefs Webmaster Tool to verify things that are being done for you by your SEO person, or whatever you're doing yourself to make sure that they're working. So as well as SpyFu here. So write those 2 websites down. If we have a little bit of time at the end of this, then I'll do a little quick demo and show you guys what that looks like. All right, so let's say that you're...
Did you want to do, you mean at the end of your presentation? You have a little bit of time if you want to do a real life example.
Yes, I'm going to do one more thing here, and then if we have more time, then I'll do that, Meri, if that's okay. All right, so let's say that you've done some keyword optimization, you've been writing some blog posts, and you've been doing a lot of other SEO stuff. Let's say that it's been probably a few months. SEO does take time, so you can't expect that to work overnight. But let's say that you've been doing it, you have Google Analytics installed on your website, then you can check to see what's happening past when someone gets to your website and how they get to your website. So how do I know my SEO is working? You can go to Google Analytics. So let's just say you have Google Analytics installed. We're not going to get into the details today, but I can send you some resources. So basically, this is, if you've never seen Google Analytics before, this is how it looks like. So just kind of remember this image. And on the top here, if you have multiple accounts, you have to go to the right account that you have. So for most of us, it should just be one. And when you get to this site, the Google Analytics site, on the left-hand side, you'll see these menus. I would like you to click on acquisition and then all traffic. You can do channels, you can do source medium. I usually just go into source medium. That's the best place to look at this information. You'll see a lot of different data here, obviously. So in the channels, you'll see them kind of at a higher level. So where are the data, where are your customers coming from as a whole? From direct is when someone types in your website directly. So my website, dataup.tech. So that's someone literally just going to the URL here and saying, okay, dataup.tech. They get to my website. Paid search is anytime you're doing is, let's say, like some advertisement on Google. Then they get to your website, same thing. That's how that works. Organic search is obviously what we were talking about today, SEO. So anytime people are typing to Google, whatever keyword, they get to your website for whatever keyword they're using to get to you through Google searches. This is the number that's here. So let's look into the source and medium real quick. There's a little bit more information in here. As you saw before, they were kind of there were less of these here. So in the source and medium, they're a little bit more detailed. So for example, you can see direct is still the same. That never changes. Google CPC, so that's just Google Ads. CPC is cost per click. And then Google Organic. Again, remember organic. Organic means SEO essentially. So we can see that on this website, we had 19 people from Google searches, right? And then we had one person from Bing searches. Again, organic is meaning SEO. Then if you see a few other websites here for other things, referrals is whenever you do something like guest posts, or maybe you are listed somewhere and people get to your website through those sources. So for example, you obviously, a lot of you are posting on Facebook, maybe some of your users will get to your website from Facebook posts or LinkedIn, what have you. So when you see the referral and you see Facebook, that is a designation of some people got to your website from Facebook. And then you have, PayPal, and you see like this one is from MailChimp, for example. If you're doing newsletters and things like that, it'll be broken out and things like this. You'll see like other subdomains like LM, and there's a few others that are for Facebook. Just consider them to be one. There are specific reasons why that happens, but not to get into any specific detail. It's just think of that as traffic coming from Facebook as a whole. So just a quick review. When you do your SEO, there's a few, obviously, keyword optimization, having blog posts, et cetera, et cetera. You do all those things. As it's working, you'll see more people go to your website through these sources like Google Organic and Bing Organic. So that's kind of a very quick rundown of how the SEO works and how you can see what's working or not. Those two other tools, like I mentioned, the Hrefs and the SpyFu, they also help you figure out what to do there. So quick action item for you guys is, first of all, do you need to run SEO at all? If you do some research, you can figure out, okay, well, if you have if you need people to go to your website and you're seeing that whatever services that you provide, people are searching on Google and they're getting to your website through that, if you feel like there's more of an appetite, yes, you should invest in SEO, whether you do it yourself, as in your time investment, or you hire someone, what have you. You can go ahead and kind of figure that out. As you figure it out, then look into your networking groups and see who you can hire for SEO. I personally don't do any SEO, so I can refer you to other people if you need. And then again, if you have Google Analytics, then you should look into the acquisitions report and see what's happening now. If you need some help with that, I'm happy to help there. I have done workshops on Score that are very in-depth for Google Analytics, so I can send you those links if you'd like. Meri, do we have additional time to go through the tools, or are we out of time now? Sorry, I wasn't looking at the time here.
You could go over one tool.
Okay.
In real time, yeah. Because
Okay, cool.
I think a lot of times it's kind of tough when you're talking hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
So I do want us to feel comfortable. Perfect.
Sure. Yeah. So what I did, I don't know this website, but I was just typing in San Diego CPA firms, and I noticed this website come up. So I figured this is I'm hoping that no one's associated with this. I don't like to use those websites if someone is. So basically, if you type in your website here, competitor's website, what have you, this will give you information. Whether it'll be basic. If you want to pay for it, to get additional information, you're certainly welcome to. So when you look at this information here as a quick rundown, you'll see the number of keywords that this website ranks for. In general, the more organic keywords that you rank for, the better. But in most cases, it won't be that much unless you're writing a ton of content and you're doing a lot of link building and stuff like that. This will be probably in the tens or hundred, like low hundreds or so. And then ideally, we want this number to be high as well. So this number is the number of keywords that you're ranking for currently. This number here, estimated monthly clicks, is how many people are going to your website through the organic searches. Now, these are all estimated, and you don't really know if this is exact. But if you go to Google Analytics, then you'll see exactly how many people went to your website. That's a for sure number. This is just estimated based on what they've noticed. if you're doing, or if your competitor is doing any paid keyword ranking, then they are also showing up here. Same thing here, how many people went to the website through that. There are a few other numbers here. I won't really get into that. You're seeing some competitive information here. These are other competitors that this website has. And so, for example, if you want to do competitive research, you can actually just click on this one. For example, I'll go into that website, and then I can see, okay, so this website actually has 667 keywords, whereas this one, let's say this is my website, hypothetically, then I have more, or maybe vice versa, etc. So when you find this out, then you can say, okay, what do I need to do to improve? So when you come down here, you'll see that this is showing you the top keywords that people are typing in to get to this website, okay? You can also click in here, for example. There's a lot of other links up here to look into if you want to just kind of dig into this quite a bit and look into what other information you can find. Right, so when you go in here, you can see, okay, so there are specific keywords that people are typing that's bringing them some traffic, right? These are paid keywords, as you see up here. So the idea is, as you figure out what are the keywords that are bringing people to your website, then write more content about that, right? So if more people are looking for this, maybe you should write a couple blog posts, post some things about it to LinkedIn or Facebook, what have you, like that. That will strengthen your website's SEO. And obviously, there's a lot more complications to all this. So hiring someone ultimately is the best idea if possible. But there are a lot of information here that will help you understand what are the things that you need to do. So for example, one of the things that you may notice is, okay, so these ads are actually working quite well, or maybe they're not working. So maybe you want to go towards the ad route potentially, right? So these are different information that you have here that you can slowly understand, okay, what are the things that you need to do to improve your SEO over time? The main thing I would focus on is this organic keywords. That will help you figure out, okay, what are the competitors that are ranking well for those keywords, and then try to replicate the things that they're doing. Does anyone have any questions? I know this was very quick and short, so I know you probably will have some questions. So I'm happy to take them now if you like.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Let's say, so I have a company and we know our list of organic keywords we would love to be noticed for or searched for, and our name comes up. Is there a place within Google Analytics we put those words, or how do we start getting noticed, or is it just on the back end with a link?
When you say notice, do you mean like you want to be notified what's happening, or you want to improve your SEO?
Improve my SEO.
Okay, so Google Analytics has nothing to do with improving your SEO in terms of like actually physically, or sort of physically doing anything. Anything that whenever you're improving your SEO, it's always to do with your website or someone else's website. So again, kind of the keyword optimization piece, you can learn stuff from Google Analytics or this tool, for example. And then once you learn those things, let's just say, I'll click on here, as a quick seeing here. And let's just say that this is the keyword that we want to be known for. You should have a page that literally just says tax service of San Diego. That's as simple as that. The title of that page should be that. Then you obviously should have content about it and something relevant. You don't want to have just keywords and then people would go there, nothing relevant. Then they're going to leave your website, and then that's ultimately going to be a bad experience, and that's never good for SEO. So you want people to go to your website and stay there as much as possible. So yes, to answer your question, you're always going to improve things on your own website, whether it's the title tag, the meta tags, the actual content like the text. If you're, for example, anytime you're putting in your images, you should add in some content to it, like what's called the alt tag. Work with your developers to make sure those are there. But yeah, anytime you're doing that, SEO improvements is on your website specifically. And then if you're doing backlinking, then someone else's website. So for example, you can say, hey Mo, can you put my article on your website because it's relevant for your customers or whatever. And then if I do that and I link it to your website, that's a backlink, and that's something you want from your partners and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? Well, cool. I'm going to put in my email here, and then if you guys do have anything, feel free to let me know, or you can also schedule a meeting with me if you like. I do complimentary meetings for the first time. If you have some questions or whatever, I can help you do that. And if you need referrals or anything for SEO people, again, I don't do that. So if you need referrals, let me know. I can forward you to someone. I'm sure Meri also has some connections for that.
Yeah, Mo, I was gonna say that was a really good presentation. I'm actually blown away at the fact that you made it simple, because I've been in kind of like drawn out presentations on this topic and it's over my head. But the way you broke it down and provided, 2 simple links to start off with, I think that was a really good job. So I like that a lot.
You're welcome. And I apologize. We're having a lot of problems in Texas with electricity, all that kind of stuff. So I will have to jump off. But again, if anyone has any questions, or if you guys want to, send me collective questions or something like that, feel free to do that, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Appreciate it, Mo. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Of course,
and
you're
good
welcome.
luck with everything that's happening. So
Yeah.
I hope things get warmer out there and the power
Yeah.
is back. So
Yeah.
um,
All right, guys, stay safe. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Stay safe. We'll be in touch. Bye.
so, okay, so now we're gonna go into my presentation, and I'll talk to you guys a little bit about LinkedIn and how to optimize your profile and branding yourself. So Mo highlighted what you could do in terms of your website, but now, potentially, let's say you're not a business owner, what could you do on LinkedIn? Or if you are a business owner, you're just starting off, I'll talk to you a little bit about that. But just to introduce myself, because I didn't do it before, my name is Meri Berhane. I'm the owner of Meri Consulting Services, obviously the host of these events. My business helps companies book more meetings, increase LinkedIn engagement, and help sales teams reduce the Salesforce churn and burn that happens with sales teams. And I also do a lot of LinkedIn training. So I have like a 9-week LinkedIn training course. You guys are going to get 3 simple tips to optimize your LinkedIn profile that you could take with you guys. And I will go into that. So about how this all came about, I was pretty successful on LinkedIn with growing my connections and branding myself. Was able to get my LinkedIn followers to about 12,000, 13,000 actually. And so the way that I did that was branding myself. So early on in my career, I branded myself based on the companies that I worked with and for. Then I kind of quickly learned, hey, I have to start branding myself and what I'm up to. And so I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So the step number 1, obviously download LinkedIn, set up the free version or the paid version. And if you guys have questions on what version of LinkedIn you should purchase, it really depends on your goals. But let's just say you have the free version. Step 1 is to add a personal banner on your LinkedIn page. I'll also go live on LinkedIn too at the end of this, just to show you what all this means. But pretty much right now, a lot of you guys might have just a blue plain background here. You want to change that by clicking on this little pencil button and then putting a custom banner. So LinkedIn is going to recommend a couple of banner options for you, but you really want to use a software or called Canva. That's what I use. So canva.com. And then you pick the option that says LinkedIn banner, and then it'll give you some sample banners and templates for you guys to try out. So what I did is I used a template. However, I put my custom words on there, my logo on there. So Canva allows you to do that. Then you download it, make sure the dimensions are right, and then you re-upload it on here. And so I like to have, your banner is your real estate where you could, stand out, catch people's eyes. And also you could even put your website or your, at. So I could technically do at Meri Consulting Services as well on my banner. So it's up to you guys. Just make sure your banners make sense throughout all your social media sites. So for me, my Twitter has this banner as well as my Facebook. The only difference is the dimensions are a little bit different. So that I highly recommend the banner. So that's number one. Obviously, having a profile picture and a nice headshot is always recommended. But really what stands out is your headline as well. So you need a catchy headline or something that represents what your brand is. And we'll talk about this during the breakout rooms. If you guys have your URL handy, your LinkedIn URL handy, we could do this live and, just take a look at your banners and then come up with some ways to improve it. But for me, I really play with my headlines. Like, let's say, it just depends on what I'm trying to do. So, feel free to edit your headline. There's no right or wrong way. Just, try to make sure you have the keywords. I always tell my clients when I'm working with them to think of 3 words that best describe them. And then we end up customizing everything based on those 3 words. So if I'm, for instance, I had a client, I believe hers was like trust, innovation, and something else. So we actually incorporated that on the banner, as well as included it here. So whether it's, helping businesses book more meetings or making clients feel comfortable, like those are different lines that you could say on this headline. And then I use like additional parts of it, like UCLA and SDSU, that might seem like, wait, that has nothing to do with, necessarily what you do. But for me, I found that a lot of my clients ended up being former, UCLA alumni or SDSU alumni. So that's important for me to put that on my headline, because these were opportunities for them to chat with me, and it also branded me with the schools. So that's been helpful for me. But really with your headline, just think about who do you help, how do you help them, and 3 words that best describe you. So you could, take the time now to jot down some words in terms of what to brand yourself with in terms of the headline. And then your about section, I've noticed when I review people's profiles, I notice people don't even fill this out, actually, the about section. And so this is your opportunity where you could say a ton, and it won't necessarily be frowned upon, because again, this area is searchable as well. So you really want to not just say, hi, I'm a sales professional at this firm, but really talk about yourself and, why is that important about like what you do. So, I put my about section on here, not necessarily because this is the standard, but just to give you an idea of, you could do a lot with it. You could put your contact information. Again, this is the first thing people look at when you send them a connection is, okay, what does their picture look like? What does their banner look like? Wait, who is this person? And so they'll look at the about section. And number 3 is the featured section. So this featured section, for whatever reason, people don't update it at all. And I think it's because it's kind of tricky and not really like kind of self-explanatory, that all you have to do is click the featured button. I think it's like enabled featured. And then you hit this plus sign if you're trying to add additional items, or you hit this pencil when you're editing it. So once you hit this plus sign, you actually get prompted these items here on the right. So it'll say, what do you want to post? Do you have an article? Do you have a link, or is it some kind of media? So for the articles, it's actually an article that you're publishing on LinkedIn. So unless you have an article that you've already published, this actually won't work when you hit it. So don't get confused about that. Like if you're trying to post an article, like how we talked about earlier when I was featured at the San Diego Business Journal. So I would take that, copy the website, and then I would hit this button and then it would paste the link there. So you could paste websites, videos, and then when you hit upload here and hit this plus sign, it actually uploads pictures like straight from your phone or your desktop. And you could do a whole PowerPoint deck too. That's something that I've been discovering. Like you could do a whole PDF if you want to share that on your featured. Maybe you want to highlight a particular skill set, or whatever you're working on. I've actually posted a PDF file because I was trying to promote a business accelerator program for it was just a friend of mine, and they were looking for people who should sign up to this accelerator program. So what I did is I downloaded their deck, their application, and then I uploaded it onto LinkedIn. And then once you have it as a post, then you could hit the little dots on the top of the post, and then you could add it to the featured. So the button is going to say something like add to my featured, or add to my top featured section. And then once you do that, this is where it shows up. So there's, like I said, so you could post directly here, or you could look at all of your posts and then make those a featured post. So I hope I didn't lose you guys with that, but pretty much the featured section, if you're going to do anything at all from all the tips, do the featured section, because that's what's going to make people believe that you're active on LinkedIn and it's not just a stagnant page. So just remember that. And then I threw in a bonus tip for you guys. So when you go on your experiences and you're posting a new job title, and you do all of these steps and you add the company, just make sure the company you select has a logo. Hit this button right here and it says share with network, and this will enable your whole network to know what you're up to. So if you have a job change, an education change, a work anniversary, so that's why it's important to put the start date. Your network is going to be notified, and you're probably wondering, why does that matter? It's back to the branding yourself. Like you want to notify your network that, hey, I'm doing this job now, or hey, I started a business. So that will help them, be in the know of what you're up to. And that's, I would say, I just wanted to keep it simple in terms of optimizing. Chris is going to talk a little bit more about like what to post on social media. And you could probably parlay that into LinkedIn. But in terms of what I'm talking about for action items, before you start actually posting things, like really determine what's your LinkedIn goal, and then building a brand around it. So if you're an entrepreneur, what are you trying to exude, and what are you trying to brand yourself in terms of that that industry? So if you're trying to be a thought leader on a particular topic or industry, like start posting and writing keywords on your profile that ties with whatever industry that you're with. And then in terms of like, let's say you're just trying to do a thought leader, or maybe you're trying to get a job, that's when it's a little bit tricky, but easy to do. Like just get on LinkedIn. I had a client actually reach out to me, and they're a sales rep at a company. They're like, well, Meri, I don't want to go on LinkedIn. What if my job sees what I'm up to? And I was like, this is the perfect time for you to brand yourself as a sales professional and actually highlight the work that you're doing at your current job, because you're going to look like a hot commodity, because you're already at your job, you're branding yourself, you're adding certain keywords to be searchable. And then the HR people are going to take a look at your profile, the recruiters, and they're going to go, oh, wow, this is a great candidate, because you are employed currently, and, you're kicking butt at your current job, and you're posting certain content, and you're branding yourself, not necessarily your company, but you're branding your sales professional that's employed. So that would be a tip. Like, don't wait until you leave your job to start branding yourself, because then by then it's not too late. You can still rebrand yourself, but it's just the pressure is going to be stronger. So build a custom banner, visit canva.com, optimize your profile with certain keywords that tie in with your brand. And then we'll get into like what to post when Chris talks about his section. So that's all I got. Does anyone have any questions?
No,
Okay.
but I appreciate it. This is a very practical session tonight. I'm actually taking notes, but it's very good. I'll probably have some questions at the end.
Okay, and then I just realized there's actually only 11 people in this session, so maybe we just stay in the main room. What do you guys think about that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, cool. Chris, did you want to go into your part? Well, before I go to Chris, does anybody want to volunteer their LinkedIn URL and we could look at it live? If not, we could go on to Chris's section. But you'll get some free tips from me. Oh, okay, Stephanie raised her hand. Hey, Stephanie.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for joining.
Quick question. What are your thoughts about the new feature on LinkedIn with the stories?
Oh, I love the stories. That's like my favorite thing to post on, actually. So if you guys don't know, LinkedIn has stories similar to Instagram and Facebook stories, but you could only access it with the mobile version. So you can't do it on the desktop version. And so what I do is I make my stories more fun than my actual posts. So with my social posts, maybe I'm making it more professional, even though I kind of lean towards the side of I kind of don't stay professional all the time on LinkedIn just because I've noticed people like more social content, so I'll do that. But anyway, so on the stories, I'll get even more personal. So like for instance, if I'm walking down the beach and I'm recording a sunset, I'll post that on my stories. You could only you could only post up to 20 seconds. So that's when it gets a little dicey sometimes, because sometimes I have like a 30-second video, and so I'll just reduce it to 20 seconds. And then I'll put like a hashtag or some kind of something that represents what it is. So usually I'm posting about my business. So I'll do like @Meri Consulting Services, or follow my company, or check out what we're doing. Like for instance, today, we're doing this mastermind group. So I will add that on the story. So similar to how you do your IG stories, I recommend you do the same thing with LinkedIn. For me, what I found is, so then once you post it, this is another thing. Once you post your stories, then you'll get to see who's viewing your story. And that's what I love to look at. So I'll get like 20 views. I'll see the executives that are looking at my story, because this is LinkedIn. So the whole point is, for me, for B2B sales, I want to see like, oh, what executive is taking a peek at my story. And almost everyone, well, I don't want to say everyone, but a lot of people tend to reply to those sunset pictures, because they'll go, oh, wow, I used to live in San Diego, because now they're in Texas or something, you know? And so it presents opportunities for conversation. And then it's a little bit different because people are not using the stories as much. So there's limited stories to actually look at on LinkedIn. I don't know if you've noticed, I have like 13,000 connections, and I see probably 20 stories a day. So that just tells you people are not using the stories. So that's an opportunity to open up conversations. What do you think about that, Stephanie? Were you looking for something else or anything else I could elaborate?
Oh no, that's perfect. I just was wondering what you thought. You had a great presentation already, but I was just curious as to what your opinion was. So, but yeah, I agree. I see like, I don't have quite as many connections as you do, but I know it's a small percentage, like maybe me and like 5 of the people on my list, like use the stories. So I've been trying to like use that a little more.
Yeah, and I've noticed with the stories, you only get to see who viewed your story for about 24 hours. So that's the part that's kind of unfortunate, because I feel like on Instagram, I think you see it more than 24 hours. With LinkedIn, and it doesn't give you like a historical archive, right? Like how Instagram and Facebook gives you. So like once you post the story and it disappears, it's gone, you know? I don't know if they're going to change that down the road, but It's just a very limited thing. And so if you're really like how I used to be back in the day, you could you could kind of make a note of like, oh, this person, you know, viewed the story, let me follow up with them. Or you could even message them directly, you know. But usually they're sending me like an applause hand or a thumbs up or beautiful sunshine or something, you know. So usually people send something to me and then I'll interact. I haven't really just cold went, oh, they looked at my story, so I'm going to reach out to them. I usually do that if they view my LinkedIn profile, then I kind of have an excuse to reach out, you know, if they viewed my profile. Again, these are like tips that when I was a little bit more aggressive, I used to do, but you just have to do it your own style. Okay, does anyone, and Stephanie, did you want to volunteer your profile or you think you're good?
Oh, oh gosh, I can volunteer it. Do you want to type in the chat? Is that easier?
Yeah, type it in the chat, and I just realized Kia also, oh, okay, perfect, Kia. So you saw the a presentation I've done before. Yeah, let's take a peek at what you've been up to. So let's do that. I'll share her profile. And thank you for joining this session. Okay. Okay, nice. Kia, what did you change from the last time?
So it's pretty loud in my background because I have toddlers, but I did add the virtual training through EDI words. If you scroll down, I also a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
I added my animated explainer video sample.
Oh, sweet.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on mute because it's loud in my background.
Okay, no worries. We'll audit it and take a peek. Cool. So she has a banner, which is awesome. If you have a website or an ad or something that you wanted, you could also add it here. If you guys notice, you could actually record how your name is pronounced or leave a little message now on LinkedIn. I don't know if you used it, Kia.
Kia Edwards.
Perfect. Awesome. And you could say Kia Edwards, education and training consultant, or Kia Edwards, let me know if you need X, Y, and Z, or Kia Edwards, I help businesses do X, Y, and Z. So you have a couple of seconds left. So you could do that. I also always like when people update their contact info. So just make sure this stuff is up to date. And I always like putting your birthday. You don't have to put the year, but put the birthday, because then you could get anniversaries and congrats and things like that, which opens conversations. Her about, she could add a little bit more of a story of like, hi, I'm Kia Edwards. And the reason I'm doing X, Y, and Z is because of my background and I want to help people. And then what I did on mine is I put superpowers include or specializations include, and then you could put like keywords that they could search, but these are all keywords that are searchable. For instance, if I do, also with this page, virtual training for staff and consumers, virtual education consultant, okay. You could also do, like, if someone searches this keyword, it's gonna show up in some form, so technology staffing. So you just have to be aware of what kind of keywords do you want people to, when they're looking up, you know, for your services, like what are keywords that are easy to find and, you know, accurately depict what you do. So that's the only thing that I would recommend as well on that. But back to the feature section, see, like if Kia connected with me, the first thing I would look at is, okay, let me see her featured page. I hit the see all button and bam, I get to see everything she's been up to and I get a feel of who she is. People are not gonna go into all of your activities here you know, click on, did she write an article? Did she do a post? You know, unless like someone's like really trying to look at your profile. So that's why the featured section is the best, because there's just too much steps to actually see what you're about. So that's why I like the feature. Just have your top 3, top 4, and then perfect. So that's what I recommend. In terms of your experience, now I'm going too deep into this, but in terms of your experience, you could also link articles and websites and stuff on the experience section. It'll look very similar to this featured. That's something else that I like. So you could have your website link and all that stuff on there too. Education, awesome. I really like adding your education because people relate to that. And then and she has her recommendation. So I would do more updated recommendations. So ask for a recommendation. You already gave 6. Start giving a couple more. And then when you ask for recommendation, make sure that you give them like some bullets of what you want to write, because you might not want them to talk about you were a teacher in the past or whatever. And sorry, I didn't get a chance to like thoroughly read that, but you want to make it relevant to this stuff, the new stuff that you're doing, the virtual training and, you know, and virtual training for staff and consumers, virtual education consultant, e-learning instructor, virtual training for staff and consumers. I would actually.
So I'm saying customer training and staff training. So I can train your current staff, and then I can create training for customers purchasing your products.
Okay. So maybe put something like, are these for businesses or what?
Yes.
Yeah, I would put something like helping whatever types of businesses. Like for me, I help tech companies. So I help tech companies and their sales teams. So something specific so that whoever your target audience is and that customer persona, they know, oh, okay, Kia does virtual training for real estate firms, or, you know, something. And if it's for small businesses, put virtual training for staff of small businesses or nonprofits or whatever your target is. Because just like me, people are they don't want to like do a lot of reading, unfortunately. So they just want to take a peek and go, oh, okay, this is what Kia does. All right, well, awesome job optimizing your profile. And I feel like I'm taking up this whole session and not enough networking. So let me know if this was helpful. Do you guys want to get into the networking part? Or actually Chris's part, sorry. We got to jump into Chris's part. Let's do that. Awesome.
Hey everybody, how we doing? Don't all speak at once, everybody. Just slow down.
Doing good.
Awesome, glad to hear. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with you and then we can go ahead and get started. Cool, I don't know how weird this looks. I can't really see your side. We're just gonna try and make this work. So yes, everyone, my name is Chris Mavery. I am the executive producer of Seo Media, which is a full service creative agency here in San Diego. Basically, what we do is we try to help businesses, especially Black and Latinx owned businesses, try and close that racial wealth gap, right? That's really what we're about. And we do that through media marketing. A lot of times, you know, our businesses, our own, you know, community doesn't really have an agency as a resource. So that's what we're here for. Just because of the nature of the way I talk and the way I kind of do things, I'm typically pretty unconventional. So this is going to be kind of an unconventional way, but I'm a storyteller. So I'm going to tell stories and I'm going to explain to you this in probably as simply as I can, and probably as fast as I can, because we only have like 15 minutes. So yeah, let's do this. As you can tell, I talk fast. I'll try to slow down if I can. So we're going to start with our story. And the main character of our story is going to be this fine gentleman here named Dave. We're going to talk about the who, what, when, where, and why, and how of content branding. And to do that, we're going to look a little bit at young Chappelle's story right here, right? Dave Chappelle, as many of you know, probably is one of the greatest, if not the the greatest comedian, in my opinion. I don't know, we can all disagree on that, but I think he's hilarious. But we also need to talk about how Dave got to the success and the levels that way he is, and what his personal brand means to comedy, to content, that kind of thing. And in order to do that, I'm going to just address some certain perspectives, and yeah, we can kind of talk about it at the end as we go. So, Dave, right? Dave makes hilarious stand-up, sketches, whatever you want to call it, a bunch of different things he's done. But the reason why he does what he does is because, one, he wants to make people laugh. So whenever you're going about starting and making your own content, you want to start with the end in mind, right? Why do you want to make this piece of content? Maybe you want to build an ecosystem. Maybe you want to kind of have a more engaging following. If you guys are typing in the chat, I apologize. I cannot see that yet right now. Sorry about that. But yeah, so basically you want to understand what the reaction is that you're hoping for. And you want to do that in order to target how you're going to go about approaching these people, right? You know, obviously Dave goes someplace else and he tells a different joke than he would at a different place, right? Maybe a joke is different in Texas than it is in Detroit, however it might be. But also be realistic about your expectations. Understand that there are certain aspects of everything that, you know, have limitations. You're not going to post one video and all of a sudden be the, you know, the next Apple. It's going to take more than that. It's going to take a lot of more engagement. So whether you're a business, whether you're a personal brand, you want to start with your why. It's a very popular book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why, that basically talks about people don't buy what you do or how you do it. They buy why you do it. You know, his example is Apple just so happens to make great computers, but it's not really about what they make. It's about the fact that the brand is about the creative, the passionate, you know, that's what the brand lives on, you know, the Think Different campaign. And be sure to refine that why. Maybe it changes over time. Just like maybe with Dave, his example, his story, his why he does comedy has changed over time. Just an idea. So what should I post? The simplest answer to that is you should post you. You should post content that is basically relevant to who you are as a person. Every piece of content should be some reflection of you or your business's USP. USP is basically your unique selling proposition. There's so many different and wonderful aspects about us that make us great, that make us unique, make us different. Share that. Share that with you about your business. Share that about who you are as a brand. Put that out there and make that your selling point. People don't buy products, they buy solutions. They buy solutions with personality. And what I mean by that is this idea that people do want to go to McDonald's because it's cheap, fast, whatever it might be, but more so it's because McDonald's maybe says something about them. Actually, McDonald's is a terrible example because nobody really wants to go to McDonald's. We just all are addicted to their food at this point, right? Starbucks would be a better example, right? People buy, you can get a cup of coffee anywhere, but people go to the brand because of the fact that it gives them a sense about who they are, what they represent. So just one idea to think about. Think about how, you know, introspectively, how you are as a business owner, a person in general, what makes you interesting. And everybody's going to say like, oh, there's really nothing about me that makes me interesting. Trust me, there's always something quirky, weird, unusual about you. Probably like me, you're probably a little misfit like me, and maybe there's something different about you that you can share with the world, right? And then from there, you need to start asking yourself, who values this piece of content the most? Who really feels and identifies and clicks with this? And from there, that'll help you form your idea of what we would call your customer persona. Dave has a quote that says, you don't always have to be funny, but you do always have to be interesting. And interesting can be different things to different people. We all have different tastes. Therefore, obviously, what is interesting to you may be very niche, but it doesn't mean that it's not interesting, and it's very interesting to your audience. Refining that is going to be who your who is, which is going to be your customer persona. Your customer persona is literally who you think this is for. For Dave, in my opinion, you know, I grew up in the generation of Chappelle's Show. I remember that being a very, very popular show when I was growing up, like probably one of the most popular, and probably still is. But with that being said, his audience now is older than they were back then, which I probably wasn't allowed to watch it even when I was young, but that's neither here nor there. But narrow in on that as you develop your brand, develop your business. Narrow in on who's watching your stuff, who is most likely to this appeal to. Is it, women 18 to 24? Is it males, 36 to 45? And it doesn't even really have to be that broad. That's a broad statement. Think about somebody who maybe you've interacted or has interacted with your brand and use them by name. Maybe Rachel is a huge fan of, your cooking cookies or whatever they may be. Narrow in on who it is, develop an idea, a real idea based on people, what that person might be. And always decide, is your content relevant? And that will help you determine where these people hang out, right? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? Obviously, depending on how it skews, it may be different. Just a little bit about that in terms of your who. By the way, I'm just trying to speed through this, so we'll go through any questions we have at the end. I'm more than happy to answer them. So where do you share? That goes back into, understanding your customer persona. In terms of content, you want to make sure that you understand these platforms, right? So we just talked about LinkedIn stories. That's a new great way to really share some parts of your business with people in the business world. So if you're B2B, that's a great way to show them, like, this is a highlight of what we're doing. I was reading somewhere that GE started using LinkedIn in some of their automotive processes, like the LinkedIn stories, just to showcase, some cool aspects of their manufacturing. That's an idea, that's a thought that maybe you could use and adopt in your own. And also maybe the idea of, not being on every platform is great. You don't really need to be on TikTok if you're a business, a plumbing business. That may not be the best place for you. Obviously, because how that platform skews. And then, cater to those platforms. What also works well for you, right? Being a producer, being, a person that works in a visual medium, visual does a lot well for me. So mainly where I would operate, depending on who I'm going after, might be, TikTok, Instagram. But that doesn't mean that I'm not on Facebook or wherever it might be. It's all about understanding that and cultivating it to how you communicate best. It's also about looking at what works on the platform. So, they say that there's no real creative thinking anymore. People just steal ideas from one to another, but you don't necessarily have to steal an idea. You can kind of mimic who's doing well on the platform, who's doing a great job at what maybe you want to do. Can you borrow little bits and pieces from here and there and make your own amalgamation of what you think is your unique offering and really give that to them on that platform? Put your own spin on it, make it your own thing. Just like Dave does his own thing in comedy. He has his own storylines. He has his own unique perspective. Sometimes it's not about being funny. Sometimes it's about being a social commentary. Sometimes it's about being, another aspect of who his personality is. But going back to his quote, it's always interesting. Am I right? So how to create. And this is probably one of the most difficult parts to talk about because it is a complicated answer. There's not going to be one simple answer that's going to work well for you, for me, for whoever it may be. It's really going to come down to what can you do, right? The social media thing right now is kind of like a treadmill that you're just trying to keep a pace with. You have to find a system that works for you and works in the best places, right? So if you know where to post, understand that maybe you need to sit down for 5 hours on the weekend and find content from here and there that you can put together, maybe make some original content and schedule that out for the week so that you're appearing in these places, consistently, and you're there and you're basically claiming real estate on all these. Like I said, plan ahead. That's a lot of the battle. If you can knock it out all at once for a week, that's great. Weigh the outcome in terms of, if it takes me 5 hours to make 30 pieces of content or 30-minute clips, however it may be, that may be a good trade-off because then throughout the week that you don't have to do that type of thing. One thing I would say is just some really quick tips. Keep it clear, concise, coherent. People want to be able to look within the first 8 seconds of whatever you're posting and understand that content. And that is really what allows them to attach to it. And with that, like I said, you can kind of, it's not stealing, it's mimicking. You can kind of take little pieces from, other people's pages. A lot of pages on Instagram make a lot of money from just repurposing other people's content. Make sure that content is on brand with who you are, who your business is, and then find ways to kind of mix that in. Experiment. You're not going to get it right on the first time. It's going to take a whole lot of trial and error. But the faster you do that, the better you'll get at it. And you'll see your audience start to develop. You'll start to develop a community, just as, Dave Chappelle has developed his community, his following with his stand-up, with his comedy, with so many other things. It took trial and error to get that right. So when? And this is a very simple answer, probably my favorite answer. The only answer to this is to post consistently, because without consistency, it's not going to really work that well for you. I mean, you may get lucky, who knows? Maybe you get a piece of content that, blows up, but the odds of it happening are slim to none to a lot of people, just to be frank with you all. If we look at even Dave Chappelle's career, he started long, long ago. I think maybe even when he was like 14, he started doing stand-up. So if we look at that as an example, if you're going to be the next Apple, the next Facebook, the next Google, it takes consistency, and it takes you being in the space, being present, being with your customers, getting to know them, getting to understand them, and getting them to understand your content. That's a whole lot of the battle. And if you're able to do that, even if you're not 100% all the time with your content, you're more than likely going to be successful. So with that, I'm going to leave you with this little clip of Dave, just kind of his experiences. Let me see.
It's a little hard to hear.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I still can't hear it, Chris.
Sorry. I apologize for that. I don't know why I didn't come through. But either way, basically, Dave was talking about his appreciation for the stand-up community and how much he really appreciates the way they've shaped him. And I say that just to say that you have to understand that when you're creating content, you're making any piece, any work, it's also about a community that you're trying to build. You're trying to be a thought leader. You're trying to be, personality within that space. So engagement is important. If you have 10 million followers and only 10 of them talk to you, you're not really successful in this space. So engagement is key. But yeah, thank you guys so much. As I said, again, I said a lot of different things, but I appreciate you sticking with me. We are Michelle Media, located here in San Diego. Here's my contact info if any of you want to talk to me. We do free consultation as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much.
Chris, what services do you offer? So let's say, is it just posting for social, or what would it be?
So we do full scale. We do content creation. We even do some SEO. We do a bunch of different aspects. We're a creative team made up of a bunch of different freelancers that I've worked with closely. We have a different skill set. So pretty much anything that you might need, we more than likely can get it done. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And great presentation.
Thanks.
Yeah, really great job, Chris. Did anyone have any questions?
I like the idea of mimicking. Like I help my mom with her social page. She has a food business, and I'm always running out of ideas because it's on her timetable when she's cooking. So I think that's going to be helpful for generating more things to post about, because I do want to auto schedule, but I find that her followers like watching her cook. But maybe if I can incorporate, I I'm going to have to look at other people's sites and see what static posts they're posting, because it's just challenging catching her when she's cooking around. Like, I work full time, so trying to catch her when she's cooking while I'm not working is a little hard.
Mm-hmm. Maybe have her do, or, schedule a time. And then I've seen it where people have, they set up all their ingredients, or they have stuff already, and they show you how to prepare it. You go from, the basic organic process, just starting with the bare necessities, all the seasonings, what you use in the food, and then, while she's cooking it, and then just chop that up into maybe 10-second segments each, and to create a maybe 2-3 minute content video. I think that could help. I've seen that a lot, or I've seen sometimes people post the entire thing, which I'm not really interested in watching a 15-minute video of someone showing us how to cook. I just want to see how did you get there and what you use, and then I'll go from there.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the reminder about, sometimes we think that if we post something, it has to be original, but there's so much content out there that we have to take the time to research what our interests are. Like, I love airplanes, right? So I can go on Instagram or I can go to YouTube and I can type in, the latest airport landing video, right, for certain types of aircraft, and I can watch tons and tons of that. So instead of doing that, if I want to post something on it, I can just repost some of those videos because it's something that I'm interested in. So that was good to share that with us. I don't have to go figure out how to go fly a plane.
Exactly. And like I said, it's going to be 100% original all the time. Try and find ways to, be creative, use somebody's content that looks similar to yours and kind of mix it in, put your own spin on it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I like how you said you should post you, and that just all ties in. Post what you like, so people will engage with you more because they can feel like they relate to you more.
Yeah, that's a good one, Veronica. It also relates to, like, if you're selling something. So, like, I have a Shopify site for my mom, and I was just trying to sell whatever merch for her, like with her logo. And then I realized, wait a minute, I would never buy any of this. Like, I just would not. So then I started creating stuff, or branding stuff that I would actually purchase. And then I started getting good feedback on that. So going back to posting things that you would like, other people will like also, versus just spitting things out just for the sake of doing it. It's not really quality. So that's just something to remember. Would you hit like on your post? And if you wouldn't, then you probably shouldn't post that.
Good points. Good points. I sent you guys a survey link. So if you guys could please fill out that survey, would be super helpful for future events. But this is pretty much the networking piece. So this is your time. We end this event usually at 7:30. Sometimes we run over. I did want to give just closing remarks real quick in terms of just the next event, and then I'll leave it open. Oops, sorry, having issues sharing my screen. But our next event is March 17th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So we meet every third Wednesday at 6 p.m. And then the best way to reach us would be email, visit the website, mericonsultingservices.com/empowerment. That leads you directly to the empowerment page. Facebook, Instagram, we created all new pages. So Empowerment Mastermind. So that way you could just go straight to the group and start chatting with folks. And then the link tree would be the best way. So the link tree was already added on this chat. I'll send it again in case people joined in late. But that concludes the official part of this this mastermind group. And I could actually stop recording too if you guys want that. Was there any last words before I stop recording?